Commander coming in our way. Tokens coming in our way. Okay. It is sudden spoiling time.
Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Patreon-submitted Aphemia deck. Can this mono black deck life loss its way to victory? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, are you looking to get some card alters done? If so, be sure to check out RevelandsLight.com because they do absolutely amazing work, including my most favorite Aurelia altar. RevelandsLight.com, link is in the description below. Welcome back everyone, playing some Aphemia the Cacophony today. Today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Ryan, aka Two Weens, and take a look at this opening hand. 2 lands, Charcoal Diamond, Phyrexian Arena, I think that works. So we'll go ahead and keep. More card draw in the form of Erebos. When I looked at it, the curve in this deck is fairly low. Pretty 3 heavy, but not too much happening. Maybe it's just 3 heavy. I wouldn't say that I'd say the curve's about average. Ideally, I'd like to see like some of these 3 drops. If any of them can be changed into 2 drops, that'd probably be the most ideal. But there's a lot of zombies in this deck, and zombies just tend to exist at 3. Some of the tribal decks, you'll notice just like weird quirks in the mana curve. Like Knights is another one, for example. 3 and 5, there's just a ton of Knights. There's a bunch at 4. I think there's more and more at 4 now too, but trying to build a deck around you, I'm just like, wow, this deck has way too many 3 drops in it. It's a thing, but zombies definitely have some of that. Many of the good zombies that they've printed have been at 3 converted mana costs, so it just gets crowded. I am also excited to be playing mono black today. It's been a while since I've played a mono black deck, and it's kind of been on my mind. I'm like, I should play a black deck again soon, because I just haven't played one in forever. Just to keep some semblance of keeping the colors that I play well-rounded, but yeah. So anyway, take a look at Aphemia. It's 1 and a black for a 2/1 flying. It says, at the beginning of your end step, you may exile an enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Should be pretty interesting. I'm not exactly sure what you do with it, but hopefully Ryan's got some cool synergies in here for us, so we'll see. We'll see. We draw a Cabal Stronghold. That's actually not awful, so let's play a swamp right here. Nothing to do with 1 mana. We'll tap out and we'll pass. Oh, opponent had a good start over there. Mana Crypt into Desecrated Tome. Uh-oh, Bloodthirsty Blade. Card is so good. That's got to be like one of the most underrated but effective cards from last year. It's just so disruptive. You put it on creatures that like people don't want to attack with, things like Oracle of Moldiah and stuff like that. It does the thing you want, which is your opponent's creatures that they probably don't want to attack with aren't attacking you, so now they're attacking opponents and they have to react to it, or you put it on the big creature and now your opponents are killing each other, and it's just like, it's all the things you want on a very small amount of mana. Very, very cool. Jolrael, Wanvuli Recluse coming into play. Hope I said that one right. Also Orah, Skyclave Hierophant coming into play for opponent. And those are both opponents' commanders coming in. We'll talk about those in a second, but does bring it back to our turn. There's another land. Let's get the Stronghold in play just in case of a wheel. Seems unlikely in this moment, but you know, you never know. So we'll play the Charcoal Diamond. That'll come in tapped. And we'll pass like that. So let's take a look at what opponents are playing. First up, we have Negan the Cold-Blooded. Controversy incoming. 2 in Mardu for a 4/3. When it enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each secretly choose a creature that player controls. Then those choices are revealed, and that player sacrifices those creatures. Whenever an opponent sacrifices a creature, you create a treasure token. It's interesting. I've heard some people start to say that it's actually pretty good. I haven't seen it in play yet, so maybe we'll get a look at it today and see how it goes. But yeah, you know, you're talking about sacrificing creatures and getting treasures whenever creatures die. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. Who is it? What's that card? Like Pitiless Plunderer? Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. A lot of people like Pitiless Plunderer, you know, in a sort of similar vein. Opponent equips the Bloodthirsty Blade to the Orah Skyclave Hierophant, and they swing into Fish. Negan being piloted by Pauper R. Bust, by the way. But yeah, I'm excited to see this deck. I've been hearing things about it that it's been pretty good, so, you know, we'll see what's up. Moving on from that, we have Fish Said Fish piloting Jolrael, Wanvuli Recluse. This is the weird one. It says, whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. It's weird that it came out around the same time as Gavi and has a very similar ability to Gavi. Just all seems very strange. And then pay a bunch of mana until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power, toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. Yeah, the ability to pump your stuff up like that, usually pretty strong. So green overruns, typically very good. So I don't know, we'll see what they've got for us today. They do drop down an Oblivion Stone, so they've got some removal happening. Would they go straight for the Oblivion Stone? I don't know. Do we play Phyrexian Arena? We can play Erebos. Erebos is indestructible. This is a destroy.
That is a destroy. Yeah, maybe we go on Erebos first because, yeah, indestructible. I like that. Play the Swamp, play Erebos. Negan's gonna Enlighten Tutor. Is he going for the equipment? You gotta go for the equipment, right? Flavor win. Goes for a land tax. That's also fair. Land tax is very good. I believe he's on the play, though. It might be a little awkward. Unless the green player fires down a Cultivate or something. Yep, they draw into the land tax, cast the land tax. Appears to be stuck on lands. And they pass like that. Our final opponent, by the way, is Jenkinstein, piloting Orah Skyclave Hierophant. Said that a couple times now, it's kind of a mouthful. 4 mana for a 3/3, has lifelink, and it says when it or another cleric you control dies, return target cleric with lesser converted mana cost from your graveyard to the battlefield. That's kind of cool. Those are fun type of effects. At 4 mana, that should be able to get a pretty good amount of clerics back. So it looks like we're doing some form of Cleric Tribal today, maybe something to do with the lifelink also. They've got themselves a Weathered Wayfarer into play. Can't help finding lands, which is good. But they do have a Mana Crypt out. Mana Crypt liable to be blown up by the Oblivion Stone. Wood Elves coming in for Fish Dead Fish. They're going to go on the attack. Gonna swing into Pauper for 1. Mana Crypt flip for Jenkinstein, wins the flip. Gonna activate the Weathered Wayfarer. Yeah, go find that land. This card is cool. Now, I've talked about this card a little bit in the past. These things were like $10 last I looked. They may have gone up. I'm not sure. This is one of the few cards that finds any land, and especially in white, where that doesn't really exist at all. You know, you have Expedition Map, and then not a lot else. So Weathered Wayfarer, pretty cool in that sense, finds any land. You know, if you're trying to do an Emeria thing, can find your Emeria, can find your Ancient Tomb if you're trying to get some ramp. But just really cool in that sense that any land. But in the past I have said that, I don't think it's really worth like its $10 price tag. It's pretty cool, still doesn't feel like it's $10 to me. It does good things. I wouldn't run it in necessarily every deck that I play, but I do run it in some places. But I run it in the more CEDH style stuff where you're probably cheating on lands a bit, and things that can find you lands, and especially multiple lands, tend to be more valuable than just like a basic land instead. So, but it is a cool card. Maybe a little overpriced. Could probably use a reprint somewhere, but still pretty sweet. They do cast an Eily, and with that, they're going to go into combat, swing the Orah Skyclave Hierophant into us. 5 commander, down to 35. This is Liliana's Reaver. We've got some choices here. The question is, when is Fish going to blow this Oblivion Stone? Play the Swamp. We're up to 5 cards in hand. I don't know, maybe we just activate Erebos a couple times and wait for the Oblivion Stone thing to work itself out. Could also just we could cast our commander just to have something in play, which might not be an awful idea. Yeah, that seems fine, I think. We've got the Cabal Stronghold, so as long as we keep making land drops, paying a little bit of additional mana seems like it'll probably be okay on our commander, so I think I'm going to go that way. So we'll play Aphemia, and then we'll draw a card with Erebos at some point. We could go 2 card draws with Erebos instead, but I just want to get some sort of blocker into play, and I want to put something in play that entices Fish to use the Oblivion Stone that I'm okay giving up. Sort of like asking what is the least valuable thing that Fish will still interpret as threatening and, increase their desire to use this Oblivion Stone? Because the worst thing that can happen is they just sit there all game with it and no one does anything. But there's a Phyrexian Arena coming into play for opponent, and they do get themselves a land tax trigger, grab themselves 3 lands. Seems like a pretty good idea since they were stuck. Phyrexian Arena, land tax, Mana Crypt, those are fairly attractive targets. A couple creatures in there too that are going to get tied up. I do need to read some of the cards in our hand, by the way. I'm not familiar with all of them, so we'll do that here in a moment. Fish back on the attack, going into Pauper. Yeah, it's going to be one more commander. But anyway, we've got this Loyal Subordinate in hand. It's a 3 mana, 3/1 with Menace, has Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, each opponent loses 3 life. That's kind of cool, actually. That's a lot of life loss, 2-3 turns of that, and you're talking about some pretty significant life loss to your opponents that does not require attacking. I might need to use this a bit more. That's kind of cool. Mana Crypt flip for the Orah opponent. We've got Timuret Calls the Dead. Here's one I haven't seen either. So it's a saga, and mode 1 is mill 3 cards, then you may exile a creature or enchantment card from your graveyard. If you do, make a 2/2 zombie. That is both mode 1 and 2. And then mode 3, you gain X life and scry X, where X is the number of zombies you control. We'll want to keep that in mind because I do think we're going to end up burning some of our own life here. So if we can get some zombies in when that 3rd ability goes off, that life gain probably going to be pretty nice for us. We've got Liliana's Devotee in our deck, and let's see. Zombies you control get +1/+0, and at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, you may pay 1 and a black. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. It's kind of cool. And then finally, we've got Liliana's Reaver, card that I've known for a long time. I've always kind of liked this just because I've used it in Shield Rid and stuff in the past, just because it does a lot of things for 4 mana. It's kind of cool. Death Touch, it's a good blocker. If it hits someone, they discard and you make a zombie. All good stuff. Opponent going on the attack right here with the Orah, so let's just draw with Erebos. See how Fish feels about this attack. Gonna throw the Wood Elves in front. Yeah, that's fair. Do they crack Myriad Landscape during this turn cycle and then do it on their next turn? That's a question. We draw another Swamp. Play a Swamp. I think I'm gonna swing into Fish right here, just try to get this Oblivion Stone off the board. I guess we'll lose our Charcoal Diamond, which may not be the best. That is our mana ramp, but we still got this Cabal Stronghold, and I think next turn it's gonna be mana positive. Excited for that. Nope, not biting yet. I think I'm just going to keep playing it cool. We'll probably just draw a bunch of cards with Erebos this turn. Nothing in our graveyard right here, so no end-step trigger for us. Land tax and Phyrexian Arena trigger. Opponent taps a bunch of mana, does nothing with it, proceeds to pass their turn. It's kind of weird. Here comes the Oblivion Stone. Oh, no, they're going for the Fate counter mode. Okay, it's pretty good. Oh, nice. Opponent's going to Anguished Unmaking the Oblivion Stone. So, yeah, that's going to come off the table, unless they have a Heroic Intervention in hand. Nice. That slows Fish down, although I was kind of hoping some of this stuff was going to get blown up. Some of these value pieces, Land Tax, Phyrexian Arena, Mana Crypt, we have been playing around not getting our board blown up, so... Oh, someone suspended a Curse of the Cabal. Oh, I see what happened. Okay, so... Pauper, during their last turn, suspended Curse of the Cabal, which I'll read in a second, because it's kind of a weird card. And so they suspended this, which I didn't see. I just saw them tap mana, and then nothing happened. But this kind of gets lost visually on Magic Online a little bit when you suspend a card. So they suspended this, and to hardcast it, it would be 10, which is really expensive. But it says, target player sacrifices half the permanents they control, rounded down, pretty strong. Also, speaking of pretty strong, Tendershoot Dryad coming in. But... it says, suspend 2, pay 4. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if Curse of the Cabal is suspended, that player may sacrifice a permanent. If that player does, put 2 time counters on Curse of the Cabal. So you can sacrifice a permanent to keep it from being casted, which is pretty good, but also just like has this slow draining effect, because you really don't want to get hit with the cast of Curse of the Cabal. So we'll see if anyone wants to feed anything into it. The Tendershoot tokens could be an attractive thing to feed into that. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Opponent can activate their Weathered Wayfarer here. You know, while I'm talking about all of that, a Tendershoot Dryad did just come into play, which Tendershoot Dryad in like 2 or 3 turn cycles produces essentially table-killing amounts of power. So that's a thing to be careful of. Like, it's not a creature that you can just let sit there. It will kill you. The question now is who brought the board wipes? Mana Crypt, Curse, and Tendershoot all trigger. Buried Alive for opponent. Those are pretty good. Setting up that graveyard. Ooh, I see what's going on now. Yeah, you dump the creatures you want into your graveyard, and then when things die, you just get them right back. I like that. See what they put into the graveyard. What do they get? They get Demon's Disciple. Enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. It's pretty good. Preacher. Oh boy. You may choose not to untap it. For as long as it remains tapped, gain control of target creature of an opponent's choice. I gotta try that one out more. That seems interesting. And then True Believer, you have Shroud. Yeah, those are some Clerics. I talked to someone a while back who had a Cleric deck and asking them about True Believer, and they said it really stops a lot of different things. He says, like, more things than you'd expect. Aetherflux Reservoir can't hit you. Big Burn Spells can't hit you. Random other effects that say, like, a lot of things that target the graveyard have to target the player first. So a lot of stuff like that, all pretty good. So kind of interesting. Something I've always kind of thought about more, that like, hey, maybe I should look at using cards that give yourself Shroud, and just haven't really adopted it, but something I've always kind of wondered about. Opponent come in, back into us. Yep, we gonna feel this. 5 more commander damage brings us up to 10 and down to 28 life. Let's start activating Erebos at the end step here. So we draw a card. It's a land. We draw another card. It's a Seal of Doom. Destroy target non-black creature. Okay. Definitely some of those we probably want to get rid of. And one more time. And a Relentless Dead. Sweet. Okay. We've got some things. Brings it back to our turn. Tendershoot Dryad trigger. We will want to get some things into play right now. We sacrifice a permanent. No thank you. And, ooh, that's a Snuff Out. If you control a swamp, you may pay 4 life rather than its mana cost. Destroy target non-black creature. Can't be regenerated. You know the 4 life is starting to get a bit costly for us, so might want to hold off on the free mode of that one, but we'll see how things go here. Play a swamp. We are now mana positive on Cabal Stronghold. Let's tap this up for some mana and see where this gets us. So that's 5 mana. We're going to have 8 total mana. That's 4. I think I want to get the Loyal Subordinate. We can start getting that life loss on our opponents. I think that'll be pretty nice. Seal of Doom could be nice too. Then we'd only be left with a 2 mana play. Relentless Dead? Relentless Dead's not awful. You do want to leave mana up though for when Relentless Dead dies, so that's kind of a thing. Maybe we want to start thinking about this Timuret, start thinking about that life gain. Yeah, maybe that's what we're doing. Let's get the Timuret. So we're going to mill 3. These come in tapped? No, they appear to come in untapped, so that seems good. It comes in, we mill. Oh, Liliana Dreadhorde General, no. Also, we hit no creatures. That's disappointing. And Bantu's Monument? That's life gain. Well, that went poorly. Oh, man. Yeah, would have liked to have drawn those. Disappointing. Got 5 mana left. I guess it's, get the Loyal Subordinate into play, and I'm sure I'm going to regret this Relentless Dead. Oh, that animates Erebos. That's kind of cool. Erebos is a pretty good blocker. There's some things right now, so I might just attack with the commander. Loyal Subordinate trigger, yeah, get that life loss going. I'm gonna poke into Pauper right here. End step trigger. Ooh, opponent's gonna Vampiric Tutor. Wonder if they have to go for a board wipe right here. If so, I hope it's not Toxic Deluge. Many triggers on the stack. Negan coming into play. Oh boy, target opponent. So they choose fish. They choose, okay, Tender Shoot goes down, and opponent gets some treasure tokens. Yep, seems pretty good. And then opponent's going to reanimate the Tender Shoot Dryad. Yeah, we're going to have something to say about that. We've got some removal on our turn. Lightning Greaves, oh boy. Well, gonna make it harder with the removal. Gonna try to put the boots on the Tender Shoot Dryad. You know what? I'm thinking no. We're gonna snuff out, paying the 4 life to shoot the Tender Shoot Dryad, because no one wants that. Ooh, opponent's gonna Flawless Maneuver. Wow. All right, well, at least we got rid of that. That was 4 life, though, and our life is starting to get low. We need to get to mode number 3 on here and make sure we have a bunch of zombies in play. Curse of the Cabal on 1 counter now. Someone's probably going to want to sacrifice to it. Still on 1 counter. Mind's Eye. Interesting. That's an interesting choice, because that's not typically a card you'd run in green, although in green, you do make the amount of mana that you would need to take advantage of it, so that's a thing, but... There is something to say about, like, Sustained Draw, but also Greater Good is an insane card, which is in green, so... One can activate their Weathered Wayfarer at the end step. We do have Exsanguinate in the deck, which I actually wouldn't mind seeing because we're going to need to gain some life back. Tender Shoot trigger, Curse trigger, Mana Crypt trigger. Battletide Alchemist, oh my, there's one I haven't seen in a long time. If a source would deal damage to a player, you may prevent X of that damage, where X is the number of clerics you control. That is really cool. Tender Shoot and Curse trigger. Curse still on 1, we're probably gonna have to sacrifice. We could sacrifice Relentless Dead. Yeah, maybe we do that. We just sacrifice Relentless Dead, pay a black to get it back. When does this happen? After your draw step, I see. Yeah, I'm going to sacrifice Relentless Dead. I don't love it, but I think it needs to happen. Negan will get a trigger. We get 2 Relentless Dead triggers. Only 1 creature in our graveyard. We'll play the black to bring him back. I think its abilities are too valuable to just, like, exile the stuff. Oh, that's a Sudden Spoiling. Yeah, that's a good card. Mind's Eye trigger. We mill 3 more. Hopefully not cards we wanted to be drawing. Herald's Horn, land. Well, I guess I didn't really want to draw any of those either, although cost reduction would have been nice. And okay. Play a Swamp. We're going to add 6 mana. Let's play the Devotee. So with the end step, we can pay 2 to make a creature. That's pretty good. Thinking about a lot of things in this moment, though. So we could go Relentless Dead. That leaves 1 mana floating that we'll probably have to give up on. Yeah, I think we go Liliana's Reaver and use the end step trigger here. Kind of a lot of things on the battlefield still, so probably not sending Erebos anywhere. Plus our life total is very low. We ding opponents for 3 more, so that's not bad. But I'm going to send Aphemia into Negan. Oh, that's not a zombie. Opponent goes down to 17. We'll go to the end step. 2 triggers. We have an enchantment in our graveyard. I would exile an enchantment. We're going to pay to make another zombie, and we'll pass like that. Next turn, my hope is to leave up Sudden Spoiling. Many triggers on the stack. Land tax trigger. Opponent gets a token. Fish going to draw a card, sure. And they get to make a 2/2. Pauper has 10 cards in hand. I would say that probably at least 5 of those are lands. There's a Shadow Spear. That one's good. Shadow Spear going to be really good against our Erebos, which is unfortunate. Also, the life gain. Their life is getting pretty low. That's a thing to think about. Equips the Shadow Spear onto their commander. 5/4 Trample Lifelink. Can activate the ability. Okay. Erebos going down. Ew, Dismantling Wave. Gross. So Erebos, Mind's Eye, and Desecrated Tomb going down. Gonna swing Negan into Fish. Alright. I was worried that we were going to take that attack and like, I was kind of running the math in my head of how that was going to pan out, but I'm just going to take all the damage because of the trample, yep. I don't like the life gain here because their life was starting to get kind of low. They've got this arena that's burning them a little bit. We've got this thing which got them for 6 already. If we untap, it'd be a total of 9 life loss per opponent. That's a lot of damage. Now it's a matter of just like figuring out how we can finish the job, maybe try to get rid of this lifelink. Sudden Spoiling would actually stop it for a turn, so maybe think about leaving that up. Oh, so if we don't exile Erebos, then we could potentially use Relentless Dead to get Erebos. No, is it zombie? Turn another target zombie. Never mind. Cannot use the Relentless Dead to get Erebos back to play. Makes me sad. So maybe we do exile it then. Let me check our deck for reanimation cards. There's a Phyrexian Reclamation. At a quick glance, doesn't seem like a ton in the way of reanimation because I think the deck is expecting to exile its own creatures, so, you know, that's a thing. Fish cycles a land, gets a trigger with Jolrael. But we're getting to the point of the game now where, like, if they keep getting more of these tokens, then they can just use that ability to make them huge, and that seems scary. Solemn Simulacrum, yep. Vampiric Tutor at the end step for Jenkinstein. See what they've got. Tender Shoot, Curse trigger, Mana Crypt trigger. Oh, I think they can prevent all the damage to themselves off the Mana Crypt with Battletide Alchemist. Wow, that's pretty cool. They lose the flip and stay at 31. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Digging that. That creature can't stay in play. See what opponents got right here after their tutor. Twilight Prophet, a real magic card. Yeah, we're getting to a point where we need to think about some life gain. We need to think about a board wipe. Love to see like a one-sided board wipe, but not so many of those in black. The Kindred one is the only one. I guess there's a few, but they're all very expensive. Mana-wise, let's see if we have any of them. Massacre Worm is not one-sided, but the Life Loss is one-sided. Zombie Apocalypse is one-sided. I'd probably add some of the other ones. Wound Reflection is a card. Grey Merchant would be nice for our current situation. Orah still attacking. Fish has enough to block this now if they want to. Well, this says lifelink on it. That's why their life total is so high. I was kind of wondering why they're still at 31, and it's because they've been gaining life. Gonna block with the Solemn, yep. I'd actually like to catch a land off the top. Well, we're gonna get the Scry, I guess, assuming everything holds up here. Solemn goes down, draws a card. With this and this in play, I assume that it's not gonna be a board wipe right here, unless it's like a Winds of Abandon type thing, but they're short on mana for that, so. Brings back to our turn, Tender Shoot and Curse. Oh, how I wish we shot that Tender Shoot. I mean, we tried. It just didn't resolve. Curse trigger. Give a little check on that. Currently on 2 counters, so we have some time still. We draw a Swamp. There's the land we're looking for. And we get to Scry. Gain some life. X is going to be 3 right here. Feed the Swarm. Destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls. You lose life equal to its mana cost. Life loss, not the most ideal. What enchantments really need to get blown up? You know, Phyrexian Arena is good. Land tax is good. They don't blow me away. But removal is a thing. This is sorcery, so we can't just hold it up. Might make sense to get rid of this Cleric, but that's 5 life. Ooh. There's a Magus of the Coffers. We badly need the mana ramp, but no haste. I don't think we can survive the life loss on Feed the Swarm right now, so Feed the Swarm to the bottom. We have a land. I'm going to keep the land on top and then put Magus on top. We now have an enchantment in the graveyard, so we can get another zombie out of that. Play the Swamp. I think the plan here is tap this for a bunch of mana. That's 7 mana. Let's get Phyrexian Arena, get Seal of Doom, get Relentless Dead, leave up Sudden Spoiling, although... do we lose a creature this turn? No, I don't think we have. Yeah, I think leave up Sudden Spoiling and or this thing to make zombies. So 3 more life to opponents. It's doing stuff. It is doing stuff. Bleeding them out slowly. That's got Death Touch. Oh, there's so many tokens over there. It just doesn't matter. Swing into Pauper in the air. Down to 16 they go, and we'll just sit on the Sudden Spoiling. End step trigger. Finally have something we can exile. Use the ability. Exile Timurit's Call. We get a zombie. And pass like that. I was having an argument on Twitter a while back with someone about swords in non-Voltron decks. And this is a moment in the game where, like, just having a random sword right here, especially like a Light and Shadow, would be pretty good because I'd like to attack with this thing, but there's just no evasion to be able to get it through all the stuff on board. And if we had protection from some colors, that would be really nice. In addition to all the other on-combat effects that you can get. And, you know, like a Light and Shadow. I mean, Feast and Famine's obviously crazy. It doesn't necessarily need to be that one. Like, I'd settle for like a Light and Shadow, even a War and Peace, gain some life back. Wouldn't be terrible. But yeah, I think people undervalue how powerful protection from 2 colors and a little bit of size is, because it'd be pretty good. It'd be pretty good right now. Oh, that's a Sepulchral Primordial. Anyone bring a Homeward Path? Erebos, Solemn Simulacrum, and Demon's Disciple. Fish is going to play a second Harvest. For each token you control, create a copy of it. Lots of sack fodder. Solemn Simulacrum ETBs. And now we all have to sacrifice. Now they're going to get a bunch of treasures, which I don't love. One's going to activate Weathered Wayfarer. Probably throwing that one under the bus. I think the play right here is just sacrifice Relentless Dead. Whole bunch of things are going to trigger. We're going to pay a black to return Relentless Dead to our hand. Here comes a Puppeteer Click for opponent. Oy. What's left? Erebos? No, Erebos is already out. Solemn Wood Elves. Oh, are they going to do the thing again? Goes for Preacher. Wow. This could be bad. What do you go for? Do you go for like Twilight Prophet? Opponent does something. They sacrifice something with Eiley. Oh, they get their own Preacher in. Okay, nice. So they fizzled that trigger. Okay, they sacrifice their Twilight Prophet to get Preacher in so that opponent doesn't have it. Yeah, that's not an action that you like plan when you're building the deck. You're like, I'm going to have to sacrifice this Twilight Prophet. But in this moment, I think it makes sense. Opponent's got a lot of stuff. See what opponent wants to play this. A lot of 3/3s. Commander coming in our way. Tokens coming in our way. Okay. It is sudden spoiling time. What are they going to have left after that? Ugh, still going to have Tendershoot Dryad. Token, Primordial. These are 3/3s. None of our stuff survived that. Seems not great. Yeah, I think we sudden spoiling. So all our creatures are O2s with no abilities. Blocking a way to kill all this stuff. Opponent loses their commander, a few tokens. We take no damage. They are tapped out. All things considered, not too bad, but I did want to hold on to that piece as long as possible. Fish could just overrun everything. That's a thing that could happen. They still have 6 blockers up, and a couple of them are very good in Sepulchral Primordial and Erebos. Another Tendershoot Dryad, yeah, they're going to have more blockers by the time it comes back. People are going to have to start making some big plays here. There's a Preacher on the board. I am a little worried about our Loyal Subordinate getting stolen. Oh, Fish is going to activate Jolrael. Yup. They send in everything? They are 6/6s. That's an overwhelming stampede. All right, let's find out who's going to survive. We've got the Seal, so, like, we could potentially shoot one if we need to. We've got Death Touch also, makes us, like, not the most appealing thing to attack and do, but these are 12/12s with Trample. They'd have to send, like, 3 of them our way. I'd imagine you just send everything over here, but see what Fish wants to do. So quite a few of them over to Jenkinstein, 1 coming our way, and a few over to Pauper, although I think Pauper's going to survive. See what Jenkinstein does. There's just 1 attacking our way. I think I'm just going to shoot it with the enchantment. Since it is Trample, I'm not throwing everything we have in front of it, so... And that's what I was worried about too, is that by using our sudden spoiling, that meant Fish was in the clear. You know, we're tapped out and we kind of lose our big thing there. So actually, if it's only the 1 coming at us, I don't even think we need to shoot it. Pat the Exile on the commander. Okay. See if Pauper survives. Ooh, you know what we should do? Because of the Battletide Alchemist, we should probably shoot the Battletide Alchemist. It looks like there's 36 going into Jenkinstein. They've gone no blocks. Yeah, I think we shoot the Battletide Alchemist. Shoot it, because they would survive. That's 4 Clerics, so they would subtract 4 damage, I think, from each source. It's kind of a big deal. Okay, so opponent sacrifices their thing to Eiley to gain some life. They're going to get back their Twilight Prophet. That's fine. Ooh, nice. Jenkinstein goes down. Pauper survives at 1. That's a little annoying, but that'll get cleaned up as long as we have our commander and... Loyal Subordinate, Puppeteer Click Trigger. Gonna grab... Oh, Tendershoot Dryad again. Well, this'll exile it, so... Should solve the Tendershoot problems. Fish is tapped out. I think we just turned everything sideways. So 3 triggers, Tendershoot, Curse, and Phyrexian Arena. And we're in a really good position right now. Fish kind of handed us the game a little bit with that attack. But it was also a matter of, like, she had to do something. And Pauper was getting out of control. Jank was getting pretty well set up. So... had to do something, had to make an action. The problem is just not enough damage to kill everyone on the table. Mostly as a result of losing their Tendershoot Dryad. If that had stuck, then, you know, everyone is probably dead. So, we doing anything before combat? I don't think so. I think we just turn everything sideways. Go to combat. A Loyal Subordinate trigger. Down they go. Nice. Loyal Subordinate. What? Yeah. Send everything. Haven't done the math. Hope this is enough. Yeah, we got plenty. Okay. Yeah. How about that? It all worked out. I was pretty nervous there for a minute. We were kind of short on tricks after we used the sudden spoiling, but sudden spoiling, great card. Oh my. Fish had Migration Path, so lands, ramp, and a Questing Beast. Questing Beast not terrible, but after losing their Tendershoot, that was kind of their big play. They never cracked the Myriad Landscape. Those extra lands may have helped them. It may have been worth taking a turn off somewhere just to do that. Although they had a bad tempo situation when the Oblivion Stone got shot, and that's no fault of their own. That just happens sometimes. Your big play gets stopped at the worst possible moment, and you find that you've wasted a lot of mana. So yeah, kind of the tempo blowouts there when the Oblivion Stone went down. But as far as our deck is concerned, I would say wherever possible, try to convert some of these 3-drops into 2-drops. Manascape Refractor. Cool card, haven't used it much. Not sure why it's in... Oh, right, copy Cabal Coffers. Okay, yep. I'm on board now. This is an Anthem. As far as Anthems go, I think it's I think it's kind of underwhelming. This is cost reduction. Cost reduction is pretty good. This is an Anthem and Mana Ramp. I'd probably keep that one. This is more cost reduction. That's obviously very good. And Underworld Dreams. It's an enchantment. I get it. It's good against certain things. I guess it does make people lose life. card draw is a lot more prevalent than it used to be. It's a lot easier to do. So cards like Underworld Dreams have gained value with that being the case. But the fact that it's at an awkward spot on the curve, which I don't love. Oubliette is cool. That's more life loss right there. That's kind of cool. So there's like a life loss sub-theme going on here. Some of the enchantments. Enchanted Creature has, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. I think you can part with that. I wasn't overly impressed with this Timuret. We kind of hit some bad luck in that we milled our Planeswalker, like one of the best Planeswalkers, and we milled our cost reduction, which all felt terrible. Just felt awful. So, if it were my deck, I'd probably cut this thing because just the emotional reaction of milling your Liliana Dreadhorde General feels awful. But I would suspect that in most games, it's going to be better than we just saw right here. Although, creature count in this deck is 22. That's not crazy high, although it also counts enchantments. There's a bunch of enchantments in here, so I guess it's not as bad, but still, I wasn't impressed with it. If it were my deck, I'd cut it, but I get it for like flavor reasons. You can keep it in. Ramp-wise, I think I would add like a Mind Stone. Oh, you want to know what you want to know what I would do? All right, so I get it. I like put these cards in every deck that I play, but it's because I think they're too good not to. We got a Nyx Lotus in here too. Here's what I would do personally. I would cut this Nyx Lotus. I would add a Thran Dynamo. I just never not use Thran Dynamo. But because you have a 2-mana commander with flying, that means that all of the Boros stuff is really good. So Sword of the Animist. If we had a Sword of the Animist in this game, we would have had so much mana. We attack with our commander like 5 or 6 times, and no one played a board wipe. I would add a Dowsing Dagger, and I would also add a Mask of Memory. And you're probably thinking, like, black has mana ramp and black has card draw. Yes, but with Mask of Memory, that's card draw that doesn't cost you life, and that's a pretty big deal, and is repeatable because combat damage, obviously. So to me, that's a big deal because we spent a lot of life drawing cards, and that's probably another thing I'm going to look at here in a second too, is having more life gain. But yeah, being able to draw cards without additional life loss is very powerful in a black deck because you do spend so much life. So I would add those in. I think those are going to be really good for just generating a lot of value. Argol's Bloodfast is not my favorite. I get it, it's kind of just like Erebos, but Erebos has that ability to turn into a creature late, which I like, and I know there's people that like Argol's. We'll leave it in, but it's not my favorite. Also, Mask of Memory will help you fill your graveyard up a little bit if you got something that you're like not looking to cast specifically. The land count in this deck was 35. I added a Mana Crypt in place of that just because Magic Online, but we'll switch that back in this moment. Add another Swamp. I'd probably like to see it go up just a little bit. Yeah, maybe Timuret's coming out. Let's see. Cut this Timuret. I get it. You can keep it if you want to, but I don't like it. I'm annoyed that it milled all the cards we wanted. So, like I said, it's probably better than that most of the time, but today it wasn't so good. Lithoform Blight is interesting. It's kind of a way to shut off opposing lands. That's interesting. I might leave that in there for now. Peer into the Abyss is interesting. Target player draws cards equal to half the number of the cards in their library and loses half their life. Round up each time. It's a lot of card draw. If you're using something like this, Reliquary Tower and Thought Vessel become a really big deal. Reliquary Tower is in here, so that's a good one. I'd probably also try to add Thought Vessel. If you don't have the money for Thought Vessel, even just like Spellbook or a Library of Lang. I haven't seen this a lot. I've seen it in a little bit of CEDH, but I don't know if it's good enough for a deck like this where you want to have a lot of permanents in play. If you make this play, people are going to take notice of that big time, and you need to be able to like protect yourself. It's worth trying out for sure, but it's a big scary play, and I don't know how that's going to get perceived by the table, so be careful with that. A thing that I would do... What do we got for board wipes in this deck? This is quite a bit of removal. That's half a board wipe. This destroys humans, which is like kind of half a board wipe. A little bit of spot removal right there. We have a Toxic Deluge. I would probably add a Kindred Dominance. It will likely kill your commander, but it's a one-sided board wipe. I think it's just going to be good to have. I guess if you don't want to go this way, yeah, maybe just go all the way. Go for Ingarrick's Wake. Yeah, I'd go for some instance of a one-sided board wipe in the deck just as a big play late in the game to, if we could have cleared out all the blockers right there, then we would have had a pretty easy time swinging into our opponents. So that's something to think about. Another thing, the Fleshbag Marauder type zombies, that sort of stuff, Dictate of Erebos, Grave Pact, that stuff, you know, those cards are really strong and they do a lot, and you probably groan a little bit when your opponent plays one, but they do serve a lot of purposes. Like right here, we saw the board get really clogged up, and because of that, we couldn't really swing anywhere with the zombies, which wasn't the best. So you need to think about how you're going to get some sort of evasion, and one way of doing that is just making your opponent sacrifice all their stuff. Other ways of doing that, you could look at some of the swords. Many of them are not cheap, so there's that. But the Sinew and Steel would have been pretty reasonable. Protection from black, destroy some artifacts, destroy some planeswalkers, never want those planeswalkers running around. So, you know, that could have been certainly interesting. Any of the swords would have been pretty decent for where we were if you want some life gain, War and Peace, or Light and Shadow. Though Light and Shadow may play weirdly with this deck because you're exiling your stuff. So, you know, but I think any of the swords, even a Luxodon Warhammer, wouldn't have been awful. Just something to help our zombies punch through a little bit. The life gain on this would have been nice. And, you know, we had bodies that we wouldn't have minded, like, if we had like a 6/3 or something like that, we wouldn't have minded sending a 6/3 in somewhere, gaining that life, and probably trading with some creatures and doing that whole thing. So, yeah, I might look at an equipment or two. The one that you want to pick is up to you. Sword of Vengeance is kind of cool too, but I also like the life gain on that. Do need to cut some things. Here's a reasonable question. I like Zombie Apocalypse. I think it's a cool card. I don't get to play it all that much because I don't play that many zombie decks. But is it doing enough? Because you are looking at exiling some stuff in the deck. Don't know. I don't know. I'd have to play with it a little bit more, but that's a question worth asking. I think we can probably part with Underworld Dreams. I know that it hoses certain types of decks. I would bring it in for like a specific meta call if I know I'm going against someone that's planning to wheel or draw a lot of cards. Like, it's good, and it makes them lose a lot of life, but it doesn't necessarily change board position that much. So again, very, very playable card. I'm trying to cut a few things here to make room for some other stuff that I think we need. There's actually a fair amount of life gain in the deck. We just seem to not run in too much of it and or milled a lot of it when we did not want to. So I'm leaving this because Blood Artist type effects are really good. And this gives you exactly that. So yeah, we're going to leave that in there. Need to cut one more card. What are we getting rid of? You know, I'm not sold on this Phyrexian Reclamation. Again, we're looking at exiling. Also, you're mono black, so like you could just be reanimating instead. I get that it's repeatable, and that's a nice thing. It's also an enchantment, which is nice for Aphemia. But yeah, I don't know. I think we can live without it. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. So, because our commander cares about stuff in the graveyard, I'd look at things that mill a little bit more personally. If this were my deck, I'd probably go for a Mesmeric Orb, again, assuming money is no object. If you're doing the Mesmeric Orb thing, you could think about the Basalt Monolith thing, and then just, you know, mill your deck until your heart's content, and you'll have plenty of bodies in there to do that whole thing, but Mesmeric Orb by itself is probably good enough. I'd say take your pick between Diabolic Intent or Grim Tutor. I don't think you need both necessarily. Maybe Diabolic Intent's a little bit better than Grim Tutor. We'll go that way. We'll go that way about it. But yeah, those are the changes that I would make. I'd try to get a little bit more mill into the deck just so you're loaded up for Aphemia. Couple equipments that I think will really help with the mana ramp and the value, especially not having life loss, I think would be really good. I think I cut just a couple 3-drops just to trim it down a teeny bit. I think we were into the 20s before this started. Honestly, I'd still like to see another land or two personally, maybe an Armillary Sphere even. Wouldn't mind seeing a Sword of X and Y or a Luxodon Warhammer, something that's going to help your stuff punch through if the game gets clogged up like we saw here. Added a one-sided board wipe. There's many more of those if you wanted to add them. Kindred Dominance and Plague Wind if you wanted to go that way about it. You could also look at like Dictates and stuff like that to also partially act as evasion, but also creature control. So that's another thing to look at. Obviously, those cards are very good. A very well-known commodity in black, but overall, I thought it was cool. Like, we had the zombie thing going. Having this 2-mana commander with flying is just kind of cool. Like, we poked with it a lot, which I thought was great. This Loyal Subordinate, man, if this thing sticks, I think opponents lost 12 life on that. That's so much life. That would have been 36 life loss combined. Like, that's a lot for 3 mana. We played a 3-mana creature and opponents lost 36 life over 4 turns or so. So that was all pretty cool. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.
Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.